Hi, everyone. Welcome to University of the Sciences. My name is Kendra King. I am the Associate Director for Transfer and Graduate Admission. Thank you so much for being here tonight for our Transfer Tips webinar series. So I am going to give it a couple seconds for everybody to get logged in and connected to the audio, and then we'll go ahead and get started. While we're waiting, I did want to point out our hashtag here. You can see our hashtag proven everywhere. This is our motto for our students. If you follow USciences on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see this logo because it really describes our students very well, which you'll learn more about in this presentation. All right, so it looks like we are all logged in. So again, thank you for joining us for our Transfer Tips webinar. And this is the last webinar of the series for the spring. And we are going to start them back up in the fall with some new topics. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, now today's webinar is going to be about making the most of your transfer experience. So I think a lot of you in attendance might be getting ready to transfer, and you're going to really learn about how to be successful once you transfer. It's, the process doesn't end once you get accepted and make your deposit. That's really where everything begins. So first, on that note, I wanted to just give a congratulations. I know some of you in the room have already been accepted to USciences and decided to enroll. Others you may be going somewhere else or have been accepted to another institution, and that's great. So I just wanted to say, congratulations, and you've made it this far, and I'm so excited for you and happy to talk about what's coming next. So the one thing that I really wanted to focus on tonight was talking about transfer shock. So transfer shock is a phenomenon, it's called, and it is when transfer students, when they transfer to their new institution, it tends to be a little bit difficult. And in general, transitions are tough and change is stressful. Transfer shock specifically refers to a slight dip in academic performance when you switch institutions. And it doesn't matter if you're going from one four-year school to another four-year school, if you're going from a community college to a four-year institution, it doesn't matter. It's pretty common. There are scholars, higher education professionals who actually do study transfer students, and they do research studies on transfer students. So this is something that they have found in their studies. The first semester can be a difficult transition. There's other kinds of transfer shock that I'll talk about later that's not as focused on academics, but it's such a common thing that I actually found, this is just a screen grab of a pretty cool video. I'm gonna play a little bit of it for you in a second, but this student made a video all about his transfer experience, and he references transfer shock. So I want to just play a little clip of this for you because it's pretty interesting. And the video is pretty long, but if you did want to look at it later and watch the entire video, I would recommend doing that. So let me start where it talks about.
Transfer shock. When you transfer from a community college to finally a four-year institution of where you want to go, what is it like to transfer? How are you feeling transfer-wise? Is there a shock? And the answer is yes, there is a shock. That's why it's called transfer shock.
So, so kind of silly, and he goes into it, but I would recommend, looking into it, and I'll post the link in there in the chat box for you later. So transfer shock is a common thing. And also just to go off of what I said before, people are doing studies about this all the time. So if you're interested in kind of learning more about being a transfer student, trends in transfer students, you can check out it's the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students. So there's an entire institute just dedicated to the study of transfer students, which is pretty cool. But there are ways to kind of alleviate transfer shock, and that's what I'm going to go over with you guys tonight. So we'll pop back into the PowerPoint here to talk about how you can kind of lessen that transfer shock. So the first thing would be academic support services. So because the majority, the biggest kind of transfer shock trend is the academic dip. But for that reason, there's tons of support services at most schools to help students, not just transfer students, but definitely transfer students can take advantage of these things like a tutoring center, academic coaching sessions, study groups you can sign up for. There are, trainings and webinars to help you manage your time, making sure that you can kind of find time to balance work and school and social life and all of these things. And typically most schools will also have a writing center. So if you are, maybe at your old school, they used one kind of format for your essays, and at this school it's a completely new format and you need to learn how to do that. There are lots of resources for you. This picture over here is a screen grab from our website, for our student academic support services website. And I did want to show you what our student academic services Google site looks like, because there's a lot of really cool resources on here, and actually some resources that you can look into even if you're not currently a USciences student. So we have a Google site for our students. So if you do come to USciences, you would have access to all of these things. So you can sign up for tutoring online, you can find a study group online, and so basically just anything that you need help with here. You can schedule an academic coaching session. Now, something else to note is that a lot of these have moved to virtual sessions, but they're still doing them. So, the pandemic, before the pandemic, these things were in person. You would go in and meet with the tutor in person, go to the student success sessions in person, but they have moved to being virtual, like most other things. Also, applying to become a peer tutor is something that does help students, kind of with their own study skills as well. But something else I wanted to show you is we have recorded student success presentations as well, and these are available on YouTube. So this is just kind of a nice little library for you. Even if you don't come to USciences, I do encourage you to kind of look into these. You can learn how to study skills, email etiquette, time management, how to stay motivated. Distance learning tips is kind of a big one right now. How to deal with online learning, especially if it's something that you are not as familiar with. So lots of resources for you, and at most other institutions, you'll have these as well. So that would be the first way, really taking advantage of those opportunities that are available to you as a student at your new institution. And sometimes students might feel like, well, I didn't need to do this at my old institution, so I don't need this at my new institution. A lot of times students feel that way, and it's okay to use these resources. It's okay to go, to get your tutoring session, and just to kind of accept that lots of students do this. The other thing you can do, something that we really, really recommend, is to get connected with a faculty member. So this is actually something that has been studied in connection with transfer shock. So it's been proven that when transfer students have a strong connection or relationship with a faculty member at their new institution, that reduces the transfer shock, and that actually helps them to be more successful. There's lots of different reasons that go into it, but the gist of it is that it kind of lets you build that connection and feel more confident asking for help, makes you feel more comfortable just in the environment in general. So the really good thing about USciences, we kind of build this in for our transfer students from the beginning. So our transfer students have a faculty advisor assigned to them. So it's a faculty member in their program, and they're the person who's it's basically your academic advisor, but you meet with them every semester to choose your courses, choose your plan of study, and just kind of talk about anything. And it's that built-in support. other schools might not have that built in, so you may have to seek it out, but it is definitely something that's been proven to work. So if you are looking to alleviate some of that initial transfer shock, really finding a faculty member that you can connect with is a really great way to do that. And then there's other kinds of transfer shock as well. So it's not all about the academics. A lot of times, students might feel like they're like the new kid at school, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm back in elementary school, the new kid, and everyone knows everyone already. Everyone, has their friends. So you might feel a little social shock, like, how do I make friends? And I feel alone. It might be an environmental shock where maybe you are transferring from a really small school, and then you're transferring to a really big school, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to take a bus to get across campus now. This is not what I'm used to. Or vice versa. Maybe you're coming from a really big school, going down to a small school, and you feel like kind of like a big fish in a little pond. Cultural, like what is the vibe of the school? So, there's a big difference between like a big state school, big football school, and then the culture there is one way, and then maybe you're transferring to a really small liberal arts school where they don't even have a football team. So culture is just very different. You might be feeling a little bit out of your comfort zone. So there are lots of things that you can do to help this as well. But I think the most important thing is just to know that it's normal to feel this way when you do transfer, but don't let it stress you out too much. So the first thing that I would recommend is just get a head start on the campus. So the environmental shock isn't quite so much. Explore campus as much as you can before the term starts. So whether that's, if you schedule a formal tour, so you're going to visit campus and actually have a student take you around campus and show you where everything is, show you where students go in between classes to hang out. Make sure you visit campus. Now, if you are not able to visit campus, a lot of schools do have virtual tours on their website. So we have like an immersive virtual tour where you can, it's kind of like a 3D thing. So you can actually really envision yourself on the campus. But that's something that I would recommend, just so that when you do arrive on campus that first day, if your classes are in person, you're not going to feel, lost when you're on campus. Another thing that I would recommend you do, if your commute is going to be vastly different, practice your commute a couple times. So this is something that I have done whenever if I'm starting a new job. I practice my commute a couple times because what if you're taking multiple trains? What if you don't know where the parking lot is? You want to just practice that ahead of time, get yourself comfortable, and then also familiarize yourself with the new technology. So schools all use different student portals and different, online access tools. So make sure that you get yourself in there ahead of time. You know how to use everything. You know where your courses are, where your syllabi are going to be, and that is going to just kind of alleviate some of that stress. And then the social aspect. So there's lots of ways to make connections on campus. It can be a little bit intimidating. I think one of the best ways is to go ahead and just attend transfer orientation. So transfer orientation typically isn't mandatory because we know, you've been in college before, you've gone to orientation before, you know what college is. At USciences, it's really more about like letting transfer students meet each other and make friends. So whether it's on campus or virtually, because we're going to be doing both of those this year, make sure you attend because you might be able to make a friend, maybe even meet a roommate that way. So social media too, if there's lots of accepted student groups and things like that on Facebook. That's a nice way to meet people. Most schools will have some sort of like welcome week or welcome weekend where there's lots of different activities on campus. Make sure you check that out. Just really take up any opportunity you can in those first few weeks to really just put yourself out there. You're going to be here for a little bit. You might as well make friends early. But then the best way to kind of get connected socially is to look into joining a club or a student organization. Even if it's just one. So at USciences, there's like over 60 different clubs and groups that you can join, and it's like everything under the sun. There's really something for everyone. At the start of each year, there's a student organization fair where it's typically held outside. You can go around to the different tables and see what we have to offer. So you might not feel like you have time to join a club. Even if it's just one club, just one, you meet maybe once a week. It's just kind of a really nice, like sort of built-in way to build your connection to campus. At USciences, we have a transfer ambassador group, and this has been a really good way for our new transfer students to, make friends and with each other and also other students on campus. But this group of transfer students, we train them to, give campus tours. They help out at open houses and other admissions events. So that's a really nice way for them to kind of feel connected to campus, and they also get paid for that. So some institutions will have programs like that as well. Also, something you could do is look into getting a part-time job either on campus or near campus, and you can meet people that way. So it's really just putting yourself out there as best as you can. If you feel comfortable with doing that, it does make the shock a little bit easier when you're going through it with someone else. And then health and wellness resources. So this is really important in general, but also within the past couple years, just change in general is stressful, I mentioned before. And then on top of all of that, now we're dealing with a pandemic and, COVID related anxiety, which is just kind of piling on top of everything else. So these things are stressful. Mental health and wellness is important. You want to make sure to kind of keep yourself in check. And luckily, universities have student health centers. So at USciences, it's SHAC, it's student health and counseling. So there's both the physical health side of things, checking in, making sure that you're healthy, and also the counseling part, which is more of like your mind, where your mind is at, your mental well-being. So definitely take advantage of those. Counseling is much easier to get when you're a student than it is when you're out in the real world, and it's can be expensive. So definitely take advantage of it while you can for free at college. And then also going along with the physical part. So on the left hand side of the screen here, you'll see this is one of our students working out in our the weight room of our ARC, which is the Athletic and Recreation Center. So blowing off steam exercise is a really great way to blow off steam, to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, depression, and just boost your endorphins and make you a happier person. So we definitely encourage our students to take full advantage of the ARC as well. So we have a gym, there's also fitness classes, things like yoga and kickboxing and all of these things. So we have moved into, we've been doing virtual classes as well, but I believe the ARC is open now, in regulation with the City of Philadelphia capacity and all of that. So there's lots of ways to kind of combat all of these, shocking parts of the transfer experience. So I know we kind of breezed through all of that because there was a lot to get through. I did want to remind you all, if you do have questions about any of these resources or about transfer shock or the transition, please feel free to type in your questions. We have the Q&A box up top. You can just type it in. And while we're waiting for questions, I am going to go ahead and give on the tail end of the presentation, I'm going to go ahead and give a brief overview of USciences, because I know some of you in the room have, you are coming to USciences, but some of you may not be as familiar with who we are. So I'm going to quickly just go over what we're all about. So of course, University of the Sciences, as you can tell from our name, we are uniquely focused on the sciences and the health professions and other related disciplines that are emerging. We offer an experience-based, collaborative, and specialized curriculum. So we really want to make sure that our students are getting hands-on experience, whether that is clinical experience in our professional programs, and whether that's hands-on research. So, we have undergraduate students participating in research with faculty members, just really getting that real world experience so that they can build a foundation for success in their careers after they graduate. And then touching on faculty again, all of our faculty are experts in their fields. So when you come to USciences, you are not going to be taught by graduate assistants or TAs. You're going to be taught by the PhD, the top the top expert in the field. And we've been around for a long time. So we are actually celebrating our 200th birthday this year. So we're very excited about that. We were founded back in 1821 as the first college of pharmacy in North America, the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy. So that's kind of how we were born. And over the years, we expanded, we gained more programs, and we became university status in the 90s. We became University of the Sciences, who we are today. And like all things, we are continuing to evolve and change with these times. So you may have heard that we are considering a merger with St. Joe's University, which is another private institution in the Philadelphia area. So we are in the talks to merger institutions. Essentially, we have the healthcare and science programs that St. Joe's does not have. So if we joined institutions, then we would be one large institution with both healthcare and science programs and the liberal arts programs that they have. Basically, there's going to be more info to come, but we are honoring tuition and scholarships for incoming students this year, as well as articulation agreements with community colleges. This is a full list of our undergraduate programs here. So you can see, of course, we specialize in the sciences, and also the pharmaceutical programs here on the right are pretty unique. Not many other institutions have programs like pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmacology and toxicology, and pharmaceutical sciences. The programs with the asterisk next to them are pre-med preparation program. So all of the pre-med or all of the med school prerequisites are built into the curriculum for those programs. And you will also see programs in bold. These programs are available entirely online. So if you wanted to, complete your degree online, you have a few options here as well. I did mention our pre-med option. We have a few other pre-health specialization tracks as well. So not just for medical school students. If you are looking to go to dental school, optometry school, or veterinary school, you would be in our pre-health program. You would have a pre-health advisor whose main role is to help you get into the professional school of your choice. So they help you make sure that your GPA is on track, where it needs to be competitive. They help you prepare for the entrance exams, so the MCAT for med school, the DAT for dental school, and things like that. And they also help with interviewing skills. They'll actually have you videotape a mock interview, and then you both sit down and study it and kind of figure out, where you're strong, where you're weak, and how to improve your interviews. So they really do a lot to help our students get into med school. And that's why we have such a great track record in getting our students into the schools that they want to go into. And then, of course, we offer our professional programs. These are 0 to 6 direct entry programs. What that means is, students who are applying from high school, they are essentially locked in to the professional program from day one. So the professional program is theirs to lose. They don't have to reapply after they finish the undergraduate portion. There are transfer options for all of these as well. So students are able to transfer into these professional programs. The physician assistant studies program, we have the undergraduate portion at USciences. You could do the graduate portion at USciences, or we also have an agreement with Salus University's PA program as well. Tuition and fees, we do operate on a fixed tuition schedule. This means that your tuition from what you start at is the tuition that you're going to end at. So for students coming in this fall, it's $27,500 per year, and you don't have to worry about that increasing like it does in most other schools. Most other schools do a yearly tuition and fee increase. It could be anywhere between 3% to 7% typically, but it could be anything. So the fact that we don't do that saves our students money in the long run, and it's something that helps you budget a little bit easier. We offer transfer partnerships with different community colleges in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So if you go to one of these community colleges, you are in luck because we've already figured out all of the courses that transfer in. We have a program to program transfer agreement. So you can actually find, the program that you're in and the program that you want to go into at USciences. And you can just print out a transfer advising guide that will show you all of the courses that you can take within your associate's degree to make sure that when you do transfer to USciences, you'll come in as a junior and you won't have to worry about losing any credit. So like I said, the articulation agreements simplifies the transfer process and gives you that guaranteed admission as a junior, provided all of the admissions requirements are met. And there's more information about that on our website as well. If you are looking to apply, so if you haven't applied yet for fall and you want to start this fall, you definitely will want to get your application in soon. The application deadline is technically not until July, but we do not recommend waiting that long just because we want to make sure you're going to be fully prepared by the time you start. So you can apply using the Common Application for Transfer. So we are an exclusively Common Application school. We don't have another application on our website or anything like that. It is free to apply, so you don't have to worry about a fee with the application, which is nice. You can apply for the fall semester or the spring semester as well. Most of the professional programs, though, you can only apply for the fall. So just something to keep in mind. And we operate on a rolling admission basis. So as soon as we get all of your documents in, that's when we will review your application. And our students really are proven everywhere they go. If you go onto our Instagram, at the top, we have saved a bunch of student takeovers. Students who have graduated and then gone on and are doing amazing things. You can kind of see like videos of what their daily life is like. A couple of those are transfer students. So we're always excited when we have, a transfer student doing cool things. One of our transfer students was just featured in she was interviewed by Fox Business to talk about, her experience kind of graduating college in this time of a global pandemic. So it's pretty interesting if you wanted to check that out as well. We do have some events coming up that I wanted to talk about. So for students who are interested in applying for this fall, and if you haven't received an admissions decision yet, if you wanted to register for a virtual transfer decision day, the next one is on Tuesday, May 18th, and then we're having another one in June. This will allow you to get an admissions decision on that day of the event. And you would also have the opportunity to meet with faculty, financial aid staff, residence life, current transfer students if you wanted to meet them. So that would be a really nice opportunity to kind of streamline the admissions process for you. And then if you are accepted, so if you're an accepted transfer student, congratulations. And we hope that you can join us on Thursday, June 30th. We are having an on-campus accepted transfer student day. So this day is kind of like a celebration. It also helps you learn more about our school. We will be having a virtual chat as well. So if you didn't want to come to campus, you can still participate in an accepted student chat around that same time. And then if you decide that you are coming to USciences and you wanted to, start taking advantage of all the opportunities to get connected early, our transfer welcome week is the last week of August. So we're going to have events on the 23rd, the 25th, and the 27th. The 23rd and 25th will be virtual events. And then on the 27th is when we're going to come to campus and, kind of mingle in person safely, wearing masks and doing all of these things. So these are just some things to look forward to. It's definitely a way for you to make the most of your transfer, make sure that you are preparing yourself as well as you can, and hopefully to reduce some of that transfer shock, and also just help you get comfortable and excited to start your first semester at USciences as a transfer student. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that no matter where you end up transferring, that you take some of these tips with you and you're able to have an easier transition. If you do want to reach out to me, please feel free. This is my contact information here. So again, my name is Kendra King. You can email transfer@usciences.edu. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. or you can call or text this phone number here. And, as long as it's during, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I will be able to respond to you. So if there are any other questions, I can stick around for a couple minutes. We are just about at time. Please feel free to enter your question into the Q&A box if you have a specific question or anything that you wanted to ask me. And if you don't have any questions, you can feel free to head on out. If you did want to set up an appointment with me, you can feel free to reach out to me. You can just email or give me a call. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. Have a great evening, and I hope to hear from you soon.